welcome back to my channel. It is February, the love month. So this month I am going to be bringing back Bookopoly. I don't think I've actually shown it on video here, but last year I played a little bit of Bookopoly. I made a board, but here's my board. I need to make a new one because this one's getting old and like it's getting all scuffed up, and my kids decided to mark on it. And anyways, this is Bookopoly. I am not the original creator of Bookopoly. I have taken some from Becca's Bookopoly. Hers was the first Bookopoly I ever watched, and I love the concept, and so I wanted to play. And then I joined a book group, a book club online, and then we did Bookopoly, so I made a board for that, and then I loved it so much that I just wanted to keep doing it. It's a fun way to pick your TBR, and I'm not really doing anything for the month of February as in readathons or anything, so this was the perfect month to get back into it. I'll show you a little of my board. Okay, so we're gonna walk through the board. Here is the board. Don't mind my messy desk. Okay, so first we're gonna go through the pieces. I have 2 dice. They're numbered dice instead of like the dots. My mover or marker thing is the Beast. My girls have a lot of these Disney Doorables, and I switch up which ones I'm using. He's so cute, his little eyes. So starting at Go. Go is randomize Goodreads TBR. So when I land on that, I will go to my Goodreads and then pull up a random number generator, and whatever number it lands on, that's the book that I have to read. Okay, and then moving next is historical fiction. I don't read a whole lot of historical fiction, so I just put it on ones that have just 2 of them. Then we'll move on to the next property space. Then we have fantasy. I chose this for fantasy because I read a lot of fantasy, and there's 3 spaces here. Next we have retellings, and I read a lot of retellings, so I chose another one that has 3 spaces. And then next we have paranormal, again another one that I read a lot of. And then here on the red we have horror, another one of my favorite genres. And next we have mystery thrillers. Now mystery thrillers isn't one of my favorite genres, but I am trying to read more of them, so I just added them to the yellow. And then on the green is science fiction. I don't read a whole lot of romance, so I just did one with 2 squares for romance. Let's move on. We have community chest. So when we land on the community chest, we draw one of these cards, and these are just full of books that are favorites of other booktubers or books they've mentioned in their recommendation videos. Some of my friends' favorite books are in here. And then we have the chance space. So this is just full of different prompts. I'll pull one out and put it in the bottom. Like Instagram poll, stuff like that. Okay, and then for income tax we have a NetGalley book, and then we have one of the trains. Yes, I know I can't draw. It's fine. Book published in 2019. We have friend recommendations, so if I land on this, I will message a friend and ask them to give me a recommendation for a book. For the electric company, we have an ebook or an audiobook. For this train station, we have a book inspired by myth, legend, or folklore. We have a free reading space, so if I land on that, I can just read whatever book I want. This train station is a book you borrowed from the library. The water company is a book with water-related cover. Okay, this train station is a book you know nothing about, which isn't too hard because I try to go into books not knowing much. The luxury tax is most recent purchase. And then this one is TBR jar. So I have a bunch of TBR jars. When I land on that, I'll just pick one and pull a book from it. That is my Bookopoly board. So the rules of Bookopoly, you have to pick a book that fits the category in which you land on, pretty much. And if I don't finish my entire TBR for the month, there's gonna be a punishment, which I've seen lots of people do for their TBR games on BookTube, and so I'm gonna do that. For my punishment, I'm gonna go through and watch some people's most disappointing from 2019 reads, and then I'm gonna take those books and put them into a jar, and then I'll have to pick one from that if I don't finish my TBR list for the month. So that will be my punishment. Okay, so let's get into roll number 1. and we landed on fantasy. And for fantasy, I'm going to be using A Game of Thrones by George R.R. Martin. I am buddy reading this from January, February, so I've already started reading it, but this is my game and it fits the thing and I need to read it, so I'm going to put it in there. Game of Thrones is a very political high fantasy, follow a bunch of characters in different powerful houses in the realm, and they're all fighting for the throne. Okay, let's go on to roll number 2. And we landed on an ebook or an audiobook, and for this I'm going to be reading Alien Barbarian by Ruby Dixon. This is an adult romance. It's very smut filled. It is not for younger audiences. It is the second book. I read the first book in January and I devoured it. I read it like almost straight through. It's one of those books where you just need to find out what happens next, or at least it was for me, and it's a guilty pleasure. The first book follows our main character Georgie, and she is abducted from her bed by little green men, and they have abducted these women to sell them off interplanetary human trafficking of sorts, like cattle. We just follow her journey with these girls and how they survive space. And there's romance and it's very smut filled. Okay, on to roll number 3. On a community chest, and we pulled out Renegades by Marissa Meyer. I'm not really sure what Renegades is about. I know it's sci-fi. I'll just read from the synopsis since I don't know what it's about. The Renegades are a syndicate of prodigies, humans with extraordinary abilities, who emerged from the ruins of a crumbled society and established peace and order where chaos reigned. As champions of justice, they remain a symbol of hope and courage to everyone, except the villains they once overthrew. Nova has a reason to hate the Renegades, and she is on a mission for vengeance. As she gets closer to her target, she meets Adrian, a renegade boy who believes in justice and in Nova. But Nova's allegiance is to a villain who has the power to end them both. Okay, on to roll number 4. And we landed on a book you borrowed from the library, The Nameless Queen by Rebecca McLaughlin. This is about a girl who is nameless. She's one of the class of citizens who are so disrespected that they don't even get a name, but she has a tattoo on her arm that has determined she is to be queen. That's all I know about that. On to roll number 5. And we landed on TBR jar pick, and I've got one of my many TBR jars here. So I'm gonna give it a good shake. Give me something good. Give me something good. Let's see. Okay, we got something called Lost in Me by Lexi Ryan. So let's see if I can figure out what that is. Oh, I think it's more smut. Yep, it's romance and it looks pretty smutty to me. I'll put the cover up here. I don't know what this is about, but it's adult romance smut. Okay, now on to roll number 6. And we landed on most recent purchase, and it took me a while to figure out what my most recent purchase was, but it was The Queen of the Tierling by Erica Johansson. With the arrival of her 19th birthday, Princess Kelsey Riley Glenn is ascending to her rightful place as the new Queen of the Tierling. Surrounded by enemies, including an evil sorceress possessed of dark magic, the young ruler stands little chance of success. But Kelsey possesses fearsome weapons of her own, including the Tear Sapphire, a jewel of immense power and magic. As an epic war draws near, Kelsey's quest to save her kingdom and meet her destiny begins. A wondrous journey of self-discovery and a trial by fire that will make her a legend if she can survive. And for roll number 7, we landed on another community chest, and that is History Is All You Left Me by Adam Silvera. I did not have this one, so I went and got it from the library. When Griffin's first love and ex-boyfriend Theo dies in a drowning accident, his universe implodes. Even though Theo had moved to California for college and started seeing Jackson, Griffin never doubted Theo would come back to him when the time was right. But now, the future he's been imagining for himself has gone far off course. To make things worse, the only person who truly understands his heartache is Jackson. But no matter how much they open up to each other, Griffin's downward spiral continues. He's losing himself in his obsessive compulsions and destructive choices, and the secrets he's been keeping are tearing him apart. If Griffin is ever to rebuild his future, he must first confront his history, every last heartbreaking piece of the puzzle of his life. And now for rule number 8. We landed on a retelling, and for that I have chosen another book from my Kindle Unlimited list, and the book I chose for that is Snow White Blood Red by Cameron Jace. And this is a Grimm Diaries book, and it's told by the Snow White Queen. I have always wondered why you never asked about my name. Was I so superficial to you, so stereotypical and mundane? Why did you treat me as if I were just the monster of the week? You know what I think? You never had the time to really hate me. You wanted to hate me long before you even met me. You wanted to scrape my existence and avenge your childhood princess by laying all the blame on me. What if they didn't call me the evil queen? What if I told you the real story from my point of view instead of hers? Would you ever think of me as an angel? Could I ever make you care? I know that deep inside you, you adore me, but you're just scared, afraid to admit how much you love the Snow White Queen. So this is Snow White's story from the evil queen's point of view. Okay, and for rule number 9, we've landed on free reading, and for this I've chosen A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I'm reading this with my book reading buddies. We were buddy reading this January and February, and I need to finish it in February, so I'm gonna add it to the list where I can. We follow our main character, Diana Bishop. She is a historian, and she works at Oxford doing research. She comes across a bewitched manuscript in the Bodleian Library. Then a bunch of hell breaks loose, and she has to deal with demons and vampires and witches, oh my. And she teams up with an unlikely friend, and there's romance, and it's beautiful, and I love this. Now on to rule number 10. And we've hit doubles, so that means we have to roll again after this one, and we've landed on another TBR jar pick. And we're gonna choose from a different TBR jar. I told you I had many. My other TBR jar broke, so I put it in a popcorn thing that we got when we went to Disney. Okay, so we're gonna give it a good shake. Give me something good. All right, moment of truth. Damn it. Well, this must be the month for romance books, because I got another one. We got The Best of Me by Nicholas Sparks. Well, it took me a minute to find this book, but I do have it. The Best of Me by Nicholas Sparks. In the spring of 1984, high school students Amanda Collier, hey, the main character's name's Amanda, and Dawson Cole fell deeply in love. Though they were from opposite sides of the track, their love for each other seemed to defy the realities of life in the small town of Oriental, North Carolina. But as the summer of their senior year came to a close, unforeseen events would tear the young couple apart, setting them on radically divergent paths. Now, 25 years later, Amanda and Dawson are summoned back to Oriental for a funeral. Neither has lived the life they imagined, and neither can forget the passionate first love that forever changed their life. Forced to confront painful memories, the two former lovers soon realized that everything they thought they knew about themselves and the dreams they held dear was not as it seemed. And in the course of a single searing weekend, they will ask of the living and the dead, can love truly rewrite the past? So this, I do believe this has been turned into a movie, and if I finish it this month, I will watch the movie and tell you what I thought. Our last roll, hopefully, roll number 11. And we've landed on another romance. It must be February or something. So I'm going to choose Barbarian Lovers, which is the third book in the Ice Planet Barbarian series, for that, because this series is like a guilty pleasure and I just want to know what happens. So I'm gonna choose that. And that is my TBR for February.